Good morning, everyone. It's me, Rory Paddock for RacingDaily.com. It is just gone 8 a.m. and I have a whopping 9 selections to get stuck into this Tuesday. So grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. I'm going to go through them as quick as I possibly can. So here they are, 9 selections that should hopefully bring in the big bucks and bash the bookies this Tuesday afternoon. First up, we're going to go to Lingfield. It's the one of many stops at Lingfield. I just put myself there. There we go. I'm going to go with Tiger Bay. It is the former course and distance winner, way below its last winning mark. Has been there or thereabouts. Certainly looks well handicapped. It's at the age of 8. It's not over the hill by any stretch of the imagination. Has attracted market support, and I think that's going to be relatively telling as well in what is the opening race there on the card at Lingfield. Then we're going to take a trip over to Fakenham, a couple of selections over the jumps. Some of these is probably one of my best bets of the day. It's now odds on. It wasn't as short a price. I do feel a little bit guilty. A lot of these horses that I selected yesterday evening, Monday night, and a lot of them have attracted market support. Hopefully that's all a positive sign, and hopefully they all come in, but you might have missed perhaps slightly generous prices. Some of these, I think, for the Ollie Murphy yard, done really well. I think it finished. Let me double check. It won last time out. It did it in really impressive fashion. I think it's a lot more progressive than a lot of its rivals in that race. Favourite for a reason and should do really well there in the 10 past 2 at Fakenham. Going back to Lingfield, and I'm going to go with Fantasmic. Finished 3rd last time out. I actually think it might have been. Let me just double check. Might be a non-runner. Some bookmakers aren't giving prices. Some still are. So I'm not going to miss it. I'm not going to cross it off the list just in case it is still running. But Fantasmic did well. Like I said, finished 3rd last time out. Probably some of the better form on offer in what is a maiden race. And look, races like that, they are hard to decipher. There could be something that's making its debut that does far better than the bookies expect. But Fantasmic actually has the form in the book that a lot of its rivals doesn't, and hopefully that'll tell there in the 2:32 at Lingfield. I'm going to go back to jumps, go back to Fakenham, flip-flopping between the two. And I'm going to go with Kelly Joe. It's now been absolutely smashed into odds on, really short odds on as well. Was around 8 to 15 when it opened up. I think it's around 100 to 30 on now. Won its race last time out. Seems a horse that's on an upward trajectory. Again, it's the best horse in the race. I'm a bit disappointed that it's been as heavily backed as it has been. I mean, hopefully it's still a winner, but you know you're not going to be breaking the bank. But you want a winner. Hopefully that's going to do the business and do as it probably should there in the 20 to 3 at Fakenham. We're then going to take a little trip over to Ireland. It's the 3:30. It's a sort of late afternoon, early evening meeting from Limerick. And I'm going to go with Ray Deman. Ray Deman represents the yard of Gordon Elliott. So obviously big time connections in terms of who it's supporting and stuff there. Currently second favourite behind Ephesus. Ray Deman finished 3rd last time out. Over 2 miles on what was heavy ground. I don't think it'll appreciated that heavy ground. It's got good ground today, and I think that's going to be a massive telling factor in terms of how well it performs this afternoon. Ray Deman for the Gordon Elliott yard. Obviously, they've got bigger fish to fry later at Aintree this week, but hopefully that can kickstart the yard's week with a winner. Ray Deman there in the 3:30 at Limerick. Back to Lingfield, and we're going to go from jumps to flat. And I'm going to go for the final race. I want to go with Harb. I think the horse has the form in the book. I think it's got a lot of positives. I must admit, I'm slightly perturbed by the current short price favourite, Midnight at the Oasis. I think that horse will have to underperform. I'll need to double check, but in terms of the horse's weight, it won last time off a mark of 56 and is now running off a mark of 50. It raced last time off a mark of, let me double check. It won off 56. It's now running off 61. I'm hoping that £5 additional weight will stop midnight at the Oasis's running streak. It's won its last three races. I'm praying it can't make it fourth. Harb is a former course and distance winner. It's actually one of those horses that seems like it's been around for ages, considering it's had 43 runs, but it is still only a 6-year-old. Won its last race here back in November over this course and distance off a mark of 65. It's off a mark of 64 today. And what I think is really, really telling is it's dropping down into Class 6 company for the first time in an absolute age. I'm hoping that that is going to be the key to success, and Harb can claim the final race on the card at Lingfield. Right, we've got three more selections to go. The first of which is in the first at Wolverhampton, is 5:25, and it's Avarice. Ridden by a jockey. It's a young rider apprentice jockey race. Ridden by a young jockey that I have really high hopes for this season, Warren Fentiman. He'll be getting a lot of rides to the Richard Fahey yard. Got a lot of northern yards that are really giving Warren Fentiman a lot of opportunity. He jumps aboard Avarice for the John Butler team, course and distance winner. Won last time out, running off the same mark, so it hasn't gone up in terms of weights. Still off that mark there. Actually, no, I stand corrected. It's gone up £4. Won back on the 24th, so not that long ago. And I think it's one of those horses that it's still progressive type. I think it's still, despite that extra weight, got sort of some room to progress. It's won off a mark of 60 previously, and it's running off a mark of 53 today. Warren Fentiman takes off an additional £5, which I think is going to be a positive. I'm hoping that the horse isn't the most consistent, but I'm hoping it can produce a string of wins and he can make it back-to-back efforts there. That'll be first past the post for Avarice in the 5:25. My second of three selections at Wolverhampton is Jungle Land. Billy Loughnane and Hector Crouch are battling it out for the All-Weather Jockeys Championship. It's very, very close at the moment. Billy Loughnane jumps aboard this horse who won here last time out. It's a horse that hadn't really done much previously in terms of its form, but finally got its, I think it was its, let's have a look. It was its first all-weather win last time out. That was back on the 24th. Horse has obviously gone up in weight, but represents George Bowie's yard. And it's, compared to the other rivals, I think there's 9 runners. So compared to its 8 rivals in this, it's one of those horses that I think you might be able to see it competing in a much better grade than this later down the line, later in the season. Some of its turf form is relatively decent as well. Finished third and second at Catterick in decent looking handicaps. Prior to that, won a decent maiden when it was for the Carl Burke yard. That ended up at Redcar, then switched to George Bowie. Took its first win for George Bowie last time out here. And I think that horse is a lot better than this grade. You'd probably, if things go according to plan, see this horse lining up in some sort of like heritage sprint handicap potentially much later down the season. I don't think it's going to compete at any sort of group level. It's certainly not that sort of horse, but has the potential, especially at the age of 4, still got a lot of room to progress. Could be a really decent handicapper. If not this season, then maybe next season, once it's got a few more runs under its belt. And it seems to be learning his job relatively well. Hopefully, makes it 2 from 2 after its last performance, and that is Jungle Land. That is probably one of my best bets of the day as well, and that is why I'm going for that horse in the 7 o'clock. We got to the end, final selection of 9. Now, like I said, Hector Crouch and Billy Loughnane have been dueling it out for the all-weather title, and Hector Crouch jumps aboard this Fionn McSherry trained runner. Former course and distance winner, hasn't done all that well recently. It's finished 6th, 5th, and 8th in its last 3 starts. But I think, and I'm hoping this is going to be a positive, this horse dropping to Class 6 company I think it's not competed at this level. A bit like Harb earlier in the day. This horse hasn't competed in Classics Company for, well, I think since February last year. And that's when the horse won off a mark of 66. It's now off a mark of 63. It's dropped back into a good grade. It's a former course and distance winner. It's got a yard that are in form as well. Fionn McSherry's won. He sent out two horses in the last 2 weeks. Not a big yard. Sent out two horses in the last 2 weeks. And he ended up with a winner. Hopefully the yard are still in form. Hector Crouch chasing down that all-weather jockey's title. And he could be adding to his tally. There, it's the penultimate race on the card at Wolverhampton. It's the 8 o'clock. And I'm going to be going with Berkshire Phantom. Those are my 9 selections. You can see them all on screen now. Tiger Bay, Summerlees, Phantasmic, Kelly Joe, Raiderman, Harb, Avarice, Jungle Land, and Berkshire Phantom. I have personally backed them in combinations of trebles, fourfolds, and upwards, all the way up to the ninefold accumulator. If I was to give you just the two and you didn't want to back that many, I'd say Summerlees in the 210 and Jungle Land in the 7 o'clock would perhaps be my sort of double of the day if I had to just give 2 selections. But those are my 9. Hopefully they do well. And as always, any likes, comments, and shares, very much welcome. If you haven't done already, go to racing-daily.com and pick up your copy of our 60 flat horses to follow book. Obviously, we had the Lincoln at the weekend. We did really well with our TV tips. Glad that if you managed to get on them, then hopefully you had a very good day. We've got the Grand National this Saturday, the biggest race in the world. So we're going to be doing lots of things for that as well this week. We'll be covering every race from the Aintree Festival on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But any likes, comments, and shares are very much welcome. Fingers crossed, touch wood, and as always, good luck if you follow.